Hey guys, welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast with me, your host Liam, and I'm joined as always by Jack.
What's up?
Hey, a bit of Ghostface there, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, a nod to David Arquette.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So what we've just discovered is there's Supermassive Games have just dropped an Insta story. Now, usually these happen quite a lot, and Jack and I don't really cover much because the odd little snippet or character trailer. But they just dropped one, and it actually was packed with possible information and clues, and we really felt the need to just release a video here. So there's three main points we're going to be talking about. So we're going to start with Eliza. So the first thing to take away from this is that there's always been doubts about whether she would be the narrator or not. We always thought she would be, and it's basically 100% confirmed. Her dialogue in this says something along the lines of, there's no shame in trying to look at the future, a bit like the curator and Dr. Hill do when they guide you with prompts and stuff. So there's that to know, which is kind of nice. Another bit of dialogue she says, which we found really interesting, was kind of something along the lines of, I want to give you the choice because my choices got taken away from me.
All I'm trying to do is help. But the last thing I want to do is take your choices from you, like mine were taken from me.
Jack, going to pass the conversation to you. I mean, what did you take from that?
I feel like I'm going to have to come back to this point. Maybe I have to have a little think about it because I really don't know. It could be something to do with her being a Nyx. I know we spoke about before, didn't we, that maybe she was a human and that she was somehow transformed into a Nyx and it was against her wishes. It could be something related to the plot that we don't even know yet. But yeah, like it's a nice little bit of character depth that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, we'll just have to see.
I was going to say, it's a nice little bit of depth there, and it's great that she's possibly going to be tied into the story in a way we didn't imagine. So I'm really excited to see what she means by this. What does she mean her choices were taken away from her? Whose side is she on? Who wronged her? There's so much to discover, so I'm really excited to dig into Eliza's story. The next person we want to mention is Travis. Now, Jacob is looking at a photo. He's obviously surveying, looking at clues and stuff. Now, if you look at the picture, there's two boys. Now, one clearly looks like Ted Raimi. I think it's a given that it's a photo of Travis. Now, Travis, as a kid, is in the picture with another kid. So, Jack, what was your thought when you saw it?
Well, like I said on the voice note, my first thought was that the other boy was Travis's brother. And the fact as well in this Insta story, it talked about, do you really trust your family and friends? Would you trust them with your life? It made me think Travis's brother's the werewolf straight off the bat. Which then you couple that with the bio where it says that he's swore an oath to protect and to serve. It could be his brother. We don't know. It could be that his brother had some sort of accident, maybe encountered a werewolf. It also makes sense because there was the thing in the podcast about the police sort of sweeping things under the rug, which again would make sense because it's his brother. He's trying to protect him. So early theory, I know, but I think it might be worth keeping an eye on.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly what this is. I think Travis is, protecting his brother. So essentially, if you want to stick around to the end of the video, I will give a spoiler zone for those who have watched the pre-prologue, and then I'll go into that. But before I dig into that, we want to go to the final bullet point here, the third and final one, which is just a little bit about Emma and Jacob. It seems we just get a little bit more footage about these two. So we have a few sort of signs about what might happen with these. The bio says that Jacob likes Emma. Jack in his prediction video guessed that Emma would reject Jacob's advances. Possibly true as you look at the trailer and, you have Jacob and Emma on the tree and forever, and then her name's scratched out, and then it's only for the summer. And we have a little clip where Jacob is crying on a pier and possibly walking away from Emma, while Emma looks all high and mighty. Firstly, it's really interesting that the potential obnoxious jock isn't the one on top. He's the one walking away, and he's very much looking sorrowful with tears in his eyes. Is Jacob possibly going to have depth to him we didn't imagine? Maybe I am wrong for calling him a prick in my character video, and if that is the case, I am so sorry, Jacob. And maybe Jack's right. Maybe Emma is not a nice person. Obviously, you can't simply say that from a rejection. Rejecting someone doesn't make you a bad person, but it's really interesting we've got a lot more footage of this potential couple or potential quarrel here. So yeah, Jack, any comments on Jacob and Emma?
Yeah, like, honestly, to echo what you just said, I'm going to double down. I think that Emma will be the person that players will dislike the most, and I do think it will be rooted in mostly in her rejection of Jacob, because we're then going to see that it affects him really badly. He starts crying, which again, I think, as you said before, a nice bit of role reversal with the typical jock that you get in these sort of stories and horror movies. Also as well, maybe because she's sort of that annoying vlogger with her phone out constantly, but that reason might be secondary in comparison to the rejection of Jacob.
Another thing worth mentioning that happened in the video is on the shot of Emma on the pier, is the camera goes down into the water and we actually see a skull. Now, Jack, were there any sort of comments or thoughts that ran through your mind when you saw the skull?
Certainly. So obviously we spoke in the last video about Eliza possibly being a Nyx. So put a pin in that for a second, but if we go back to the episode 1 of the Bizarre Yet Bonafide podcast, I know my original theory was that the woman in the woods, you know, the dead body that was found by the teenager, was going to be Laura, and then she'd become a werewolf. I'm now thinking that that's perhaps Eliza. And of course, you know, in this Insta story, she says, doesn't she? She says, oh, you know, there has been a choice that's been taken away from me. Could it be that her life was taken away from her, and that's her skull at the bottom of the water? And obviously the Eliza we're seeing now is her in Nyx form. I don't know, it's something worth thinking about.
You could be onto something, because her choice has been taken from her. Could well be her life. Yeah, I could definitely see it. And also, I don't know about you, but if you do look at the skull, it almost kind of looks like it could be Eliza. It almost has those wide eyes that Grace Zabriskie almost has with the role. And I can definitely see it being the same one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. Brilliant. So yeah, let us know in the comments, guys, what you think about our points, and stick around for my additional comments on the Travis bullet point. Links in the description. Thank you very much for joining, guys.
Bye.
Welcome back, guys, to the zone of the people that have seen the prologue, the first 30 minutes. If you're a regular to the channel, you will know that Jack did not wish to look at the opening 30 minutes, which is completely fine. I kind of didn't want to myself, but I did it anyway because I'm a fiend, like many of you. I just insult half my fan base there. But yeah, I just wanted to top the point, really, because I couldn't really say it in a room for the people who didn't want the spoilers, such as Jack. But essentially, Jack clocked on that he reckons that Travis's brother is the wolf. Now, for those who have seen the opening 30 minutes of the game will know that it's potentially Chris that's the wolf. So my point is basically to say, are Travis and Chris related? So we can clearly see it's most likely Chris that's in the basement. So you see him scurrying around. He's at the camp early. He didn't know Laura and Max were coming because he potentially missed their phone call. All the signs point to it being Chris as the wolf in the basement there that we do see. Also, it's David Arquette, who's potentially maybe the biggest actor to grace the franchise here at the moment. So yeah, you could argue that David Arquette has a massive role to play, so he probably is going to be the wolf. Now, it would explain a lot about Travis's behaviour in the opening 30 minutes. For example, he really tries to, persuade Laura and Max not to go to the lodge and to go to Harbinger's motel instead. Now, you think he's doing it in a way to possibly lure them or kidnap them. Obviously, they ignore his advice and go into the Wolf anyway, and it potentially gets Max killed. But yeah, was Travis trying to protect them, or simply was he just trying to make sure his brother couldn't get another meal, and he was just trying to save some kids from his brother, who's probably done this before? Yeah, another thing as well is that he kind of knew they were there. He fired the gunshots in. And he possibly saves Laura at the end there from being his brother's next meal as well. So tell me in the comments, guys, what do you think? Do you reckon Chris is a wolf? And do you reckon Chris and Travis are related? And does this explain a lot of Travis's behaviour in the prologue? Thank you very much for joining, guys. As always, links are in the description. We'll see you soon.